Hello Redditors of the internet, Normal Xenon here, and welcome back to another Reddit video, and today we'll be looking at r/JustNeckbeardThings Part 12. Let's get started. We'll go to the YouTube comments for this first one. He's surrendering to the ideologies of the Western female breeds. This is why I married an Asian, rational and submissive than a Western loud, prideful moron that has a cancerous personality. I frickin' hate Western women, LMAO. They're good in bed is all I can compliment them on. And the guy in red comes back, anime waifus don't count, bruh. Also, dude, you're talking about Western female breeds and submissive. Do you want a dog or a woman? Like, I can't tell based on this comment, dude. Or maybe it's because you think women are dogs. In which case, that is 100% neckbeard mentality. Moving on. This next one's titled, Sharing this customer service call experience with my bud, thought I'd share it here as well. Are you ready for another frickin' weeb story? Ooh boy. She was mad because we packed her manga facing the wrong way, and therefore we're frickin' racist, and she knows more about Japanese culture than anyone because she's seen every anime after 2001 because Japan doesn't care about pop culture before that date. What the hell? It's just a goddamn book that's also saying that someone is an expert in American culture because they watched every episode of Family Guy, dum-dums. Although this one could be more of a leg beard than a neck beard. Either way, moving on. Hello, madame. I bank on being the old-school romantic. Being a gentleman, chivalry, candlelight dinners, heart-to-heart conversations, exploring life together. Poems! That crap appeals to me. So please, milady, take my hand, and let's go on a wonderful journey together. Just you and me, Mr. Neckbeard. Moving on. This next one is a cross-post from r/men writing women. Hi, I've been with a few women in my life, and one thing I've noticed is that the female bumhole is incredibly close to the vag. In fact, they're barely an inch apart. I'm not sure about other guys, but doesn't this disturb you? It feel like a design flaw in women, actually, like they're supposed to be so feminine and beautiful, yet this ghastly little oversight is ruining everything. Somehow it feels to me that women should be more aware of this flaw and it should affect their confidence. Whenever I see a so-called beautiful woman walking down the street so carefree, thinking she's all that, I just remember her bumhole's only an inch away from her coochie and laugh her into oblivion. Women, please accept that they're too close together. Let it negatively affect your confidence and make yourselves more readily available for good times as a result. After all, we're having a sleep with a creature whose bumhole is only 1 inch away from the vag. You should not make this difficult. It's unappetizing enough as it is. We're doing you a favor. Men, do not let women forget this flaw and do not forgive them for it. Remind them of it constantly lest they get inflated egos and think they're all that. They're just too close together, sorry, but it's true. What the hell kind of neckbeard logic is this? What? How does this even make any kind of sense, dude? Moving on. This next one's a Reddit post. How frickin' dare you? I get 20 times as much coochie as all of you combined. I found many women who love fedoras, actually, and it has 1 downvote and deserves 1,000 more. And what kind of women have you found that love fedoras? Anime waifus? I mean, you gotta think that's what it is, right? Moving on. This next one is not just a neckbeard, but a straight-up criminal who finally got justice and is locked away forever. Because this is an article called Evil Babysitter Gets 270 Years for Abusing 3 Sisters. I mean, first of all, why would you even hire a neckbeard as a babysitter? But moving on to the details of this, Kowalczyk, I'm not sure if that pronunciation is correct, plied the girls, an 8-year-old and a set of 2-year-old twins, with toys, food, gifts, and motel rooms in Portland, where the girls stayed with him in 2005 as their mother searched for an apartment or sold crack cocaine, the newspaper reports. Kowalczyk, who had been a family friend, was arrested in 2007 on unrelated charges in Washington state. A subsequent search of his bags revealed roughly 650 images and videos of CP, according to the newspaper. What the hell? Investigators published some of the non-graphic images that appear to be homemade in an attempt to track down the victims. The girl's mother later told investigators that she knew Kowalczyk as a friend of her brother, whom she met in 2003, and that he had regular access to her children, federal prosecutors said. The eldest of the 3 sisters said in court Monday that she's still having nightmares and suffers from extreme guilt for not shielding her younger siblings from Kowalczyk's sadistic abuse, according to the Oregonian. Andrew is evil itself, the woman, now 23, told a judge. He deserves to rot in prison for the devilish things he's done to me and my baby sisters. The younger girls meanwhile do not remember the horrific things Kowalczyk did to them, but remain in state custody and struggle with anger towards their mother for leaving them in his care, their attorney said. Kowalczyk, a 480-pound wheelchair-bound neckbeard, flipped his middle finger at a judge as he was led out of court by 4 deputies, the Oregonian reports. So now these poor girls are going to have to live with this trauma for the rest of their lives because this pedophile, this violator, this vile man decided to do terrible things to them. Like, what the actual hell? This is too disgusting. I have to move on. This next one is once again from the Men Going Their Own Way subreddit. Oh lord. Anime red pill. Relationships are distractions. I look at life similar to an anime or a video game. Each male is a protagonist of his story. I notice animes and video games excluding females as supporting or major roles typically have smoother, efficient storytelling than animes including females. This is relatable to life. Notice how a relationships-less nerd with an ambition can cause a computer revolution, whereas those engaged in relationships can't. Notice how the married and taken man moves slower than the lone wolf. These are undeniable truths. If you desire to obtain or maintain personal bliss and satisfaction, stay out of relationships. Keep women as minor characters and never advance further than casual terms. Well, it's one thing to prefer to do things alone, and it's a whole nother thing to think of women as simply minor characters, as if they don't matter just as much as you do. This next one's titled kinda different but still gold plus healthy dose of racism. Some have asked me why I am so angry, so distant and so removed from modern people and society. Why am I racist, sexist, homophobe? Why can't I just get along? My answer? I was taught what true beauty was from the time I was a child. I was taught a deep love for my people and our traditions. My parents homeschooled me and had me reading the legends of Arthur and other brave figures in European folklore from an early age. I grew up with an obsession with history, specifically European history. The archetype of the unyielding, chivalrous knight, willing to sacrifice all for duty and honor, has been engraved in my veins. Once I grew up and discovered the real world, I was shamed for believing such things. I was told that my people's story was one of oppression and genocide, that we would create nothing and only steal and destroy, that the dutiful knight in my mind was nothing but a pillaging violator, and that the honorable principles of my ancestors were made up lies to keep people enslaved and away from freedom. And then I retreated to my shelf, burying my silly notions of a once great people. I try to be understanding and modern. I try to critique my ancestors for the evil they committed, but nothing ever felt right. Why were my ancestors the only people to commit horrors on mankind? Do I not deserve a folk? And then I slowly began to peel away the layers of the lies. I became aware that the victors write the history books and not the good guys. I realized that my people's lands had been invaded by parasites that only have the capacity to feed and leech. You know who I mean. I found that history is not just a struggle for resources, but a spiritual battle of faith, honor, and principles versus greed, degeneracy, and faithless. I began to hate, and I swore upon the proverbial sword of my forefathers to avenge them and restore order and logos into the hands of their descendants. I will stop at nothing. So to answer your question, I am not a racist, sexist, or any of these silly made-up modern words. Wait until this guy figures out that the knights and their nobility is overly simplifying and fantasizing the way of the knight. Wait until this guy hears about the horrors of war. Anyway, moving on. This next one is titled Neckbeard Submoderator Thinks All Women Are Horrible People. You can't read some things in a book. You can't be a certain person without facing off the adversity that is naturally brought about from people's incessant need for control. Your parents control you in order to protect you. Subsequently, governments learn to mimic the same behavior but intend on you protecting them and their interests. That's how we are broken in, given slave stamps because everyone around you is hush-hush on that, which can put me in a cage with impunity or be very costly. Similarly, women promise and deliver lots of good times early on in relationships. Pop a few kids out of her and the good times stop, but her demands go up. Then look at governments again. They push a great product. Hey, everyone needs this and you too. How can you say no? Your parents told you to sign up. They have your best interests in mind after all, right? Then after the dust settles and they have sufficient evidence you agreed and consent to be their mules, and look, you're doing it even right now, then the benefits stop, but your labor and equity you owe them goes up. That is how the world works, because that is how women psychologically manipulate men into taking agency for their problems. That is why women in governments continuously have more problems. They can't have you resting on the job, might feel better not working for them all the time, and stop altogether. You know what stops superior female social engineering and its psyops predecessor, governmental subjugation? Responsible men holding them frickin' responsible. Men being better at their games than them. Men knowing law and applying it better than them. Men contemplating strategies and executing better than them. Men keeping the rule of law in their household and their government. That is the solution. The only solution: less, more oppression and more work, forever increasing need of resources and increasing requirement for allegiance and socialist nationalism. Without that lost requirement, greedy men take control over the tribe's resources and enlist dependents, women, to keep the fraud afloat. Women are happy to extract more than they bargained for and work for their agents to keep the spice flowing to the top. They then use your social diversion to mask illicit intentions and other nefarious interests. The worse this gets, the more willful slave labor is required. The more women are entitled to, the less freedom men have. Good men are the first to leave the tribe, seeking comfort in their own accomplishments and working hard for themselves. Thugs, criminals, and women are the last of ever, because they stand to benefit the most from those privileges without requiring any agency on their part for how it works and is supported. The more society degrades and the less viable marriage becomes, the harder it will be for everyone, and women will complain how there are no good men that want relationships anymore. What they really mean is that the slaves have stopped caring or figured out which pill exits the matrix. So what, are all women in some sort of conspiracy with the government or something? Like, what the hell? Also, what's with all of this talk of tribes, dude? Is your mind stuck back in the hunter-gatherer days? If only we could have a time machine to send these people back to those days, I bet they wouldn't even survive a week. This next one is a sacred Neckbeard text. Oh mine God, I accidentally have sent thou a picture of mine dung and bowls. Prithee delete it, lest thou desire to look. Ha ha, I jest, delete it. Should thee crave, haha, nay, banish it, lest. Well, I guess this is what happens when Neckbeards go full medieval. This next one's titled, "Milady's boobs are too big, haha." You're a solid 7, WD. Incels are gonna cream themselves and go nuts. A breast reduction will bump you to a 9. I'm very tired of seeing Harley Quinn everywhere. It took a good 15 years for betas to stop going as the Crow. And then someone else comments, "Don't listen to this pseudo-psychological horse crap. Take it as a compliment that you're driving an idiot like him to try to neg you for attention on the internet." And the Neckbeard replies, "Pseudo-psychological, haha. Someone caught Tom Cruise on Oprah that time. Like I said, incels." What, is the Neckbeard trying to expose the other one for being r/I'm very smart? Well, he did use pseudo-psychological correctly, so that would definitely not qualify. But you, on the other hand, would definitely qualify for r/JustNeckbeardThings. This last one is a Snapchat green text. This has me super confused. Send all Neckbeards to North Korea. Fedora still fashionable. Exclusively Asian chicks. No contact with the West. Their fatness will be seen as a symbol of great wealth. Only ones who can grow beards, so Neckbeard is considered cool. Nationalism is popular. I honestly think that this is a great idea. But wait a second. Does North Korea have chicken tendies? Does it have Doritos? Does it have Mountain Dew? Nope. Neckbeards, if you go to North Korea, you are screwed. Which, interestingly enough, now makes this a great idea. We could just send them all to North Korea. That way we no longer have to deal with the Neckbeards. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. If you have something interesting to say, don't forget to comment. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification bell. See you guys next time.